All right, guys, don't forget at the Y'all Lifestyle Shop today, book signing Steve Robertson, Alpha Dogs, 2:30 to 5:30 in the Township. The Y'all Lifestyle Shop in the Township by Nukes. Book signing Steve Robertson, his new book, Alpha Dogs. I think he'll have his other books there too. 2:30 to 5:30. We'll have beverages and refreshments. How about that? We can figure that out. I think I saw the girls grab some Miller Lite and Coors Light, and then there'll be some Prosecco and maybe some other things. Live in the Bank Plus studio, the SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Ace Bolt and Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools. 4 locations now. Downtown Jackson, new location in Gluckstadt, Tupelo, and Atlanta. Ace Bolt and Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools. Want to welcome in Steve Palazzolo, ProFootballFocus.com, NFL Insider. And Steve joins us on the Miller Lite guest line. Steve, oh man, good morning. Let's talk Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately. And this looks like a dumpster fire and possibly super duper dysfunctional. I don't know if they're going to go like Washington Jets Lions level, but we'll see where this thing goes. What is your takeaway with where the Cowboys are today and what they can do to maybe start to improve?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been bad defensively for the Cowboys, and I made the joke the other day that Dak feels like a Big 12 quarterback or Patrick Mahomes, in the Big 12. Even though Dak wasn't great the other day against the Browns, but when you're giving up 39, 38, 49 points over the last 3 weeks, it's going to be tough to win. I'm still optimistic. I think defense again is very predicated on who you play, and they've played the Rams, very good offense. The Falcons, for whatever it's worth, it's indoors with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, tough to cover. At the Seahawks, Russell Wilson played at an MVP level, and the Browns offense is starting to round into shape. A lot of that was on Dallas and their poor tackling and just getting crushed in the run game. But I do think with the Giants, the Cardinals, Washington football team, the Eagles on the horizon, I think the D will look a little bit better in the coming weeks. I'm still optimistic. It's going to take Mike McCarthy, Mike Nolan on the defensive side of the ball, making some adjustments, maybe simplifying the scheme a little bit and trying to maximize their personnel. Because right now what they're doing defensively is just not working. But I do love the way they're dictating things offensively, moving the ball, and I think in the long run, they'll be better for it.
All right, out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're going to see if Steve can get a little bit better connection there. We're going to continue to talk Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, kind of everything that is going on there. This is a must win this weekend. I know New York Giants are not any good, but it's a must win. 3:00 plus game in Dallas, and they got to get it done. Their division is still so bad that they can make the playoffs. So we'll see 58% that they can make the playoffs. Steve Palazzolo, NFL Insider, on the Miller Lite guest line. Steve, just explain to our audience how that play with Odell Beckham Jr., where, he's 10 yards deep in the end zone on the reverse, and then he runs it all the way to a touchdown and runs through. That just, at that level, you may see it at high school and college, but it just does not happen at that level. And so explain how bad a play that was for the Cowboys defense.
Well, obviously it was terrible.
Uh-oh, we lost Steve Palazzolo. All right, we'll see what's going on. The super gremlin. See, you know what's happening? Mike Nolan's somewhere around. Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator. I say his name, and then our phones go out.
It can't be him. He can't stop anything.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe it's who knows, but I think we're going to get Steve here back. All right, Steve Palazzolo, I'm going to tee him up on how bad a play that play was in the NFL, allowing Beckham to house it from 10 yards deep in the Browns' backfield. Steve?
It was terrible. Yeah, it was as bad as it gets, and the timing of it, honestly, everything that Dallas did defensively against the run the other day was horrible. They were getting blown off the ball, gap discipline, defensive line was bad, linebackers were bad. But, yeah, at that point in the game where you've got a little bit of hope, you've got a little bit of a comeback opportunity, to let OBJ get to the corner and then essentially take it to the house. Yeah, it's as bad as it gets. That's why I'm saying I think Dallas needs to get back to, being fundamentally sound defensively. The tackling has been poor. Gap discipline's been poor. Toughness up front. They just need to do a better job, I think, across the board, simplifying things defensively and avoiding those big plays.
Was Mike Nolan a bad hire by Mike McCarthy, the defensive coordinator? Mike Nolan is the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. He was with the Saints. Was that a bad hire?
I mean, it's too early to say. He's got a track record of pretty good success through the years, but he, hadn't coordinated in a while. He'd been bouncing around as I know he's doing some media work, but he was, linebackers coach, a few different places, hadn't coordinated since 2014 with the Falcons. So, look, it's too early to say on that end, and I still defer a little bit to some of the teams that they've played and going up against some pretty good high-octane offenses. But, to this point, it's not working that well. But, again, I think the best coaches in the NFL adjust. They don't just say, hey, here's what I do. Let's just get better. The best coaches adjust. So I think, you have to give him time to try to adjust and see what he comes up with now in the coming weeks.
And you said Dak played okay. Well, scale of 1 to 10, how did Dak play?
Kind of a 5, right in the middle. I think, early on they were moving the ball okay. The strip sack was tough to blame on him. Myles Garrett gets in there and essentially, I think he turned the game around with that strip sack. The thing with Dak is he probably should have had 4 or 5 picks in that game, maybe 3 at least. But he did get away with a bunch of throws, and then he'd come back with some great throws. I think the Browns softened up a little bit in the second half of the game, which everybody said, they play prevent defense. It's not really straight prevent like you're playing in Madden and everybody's dropping 20 yards deep, but it's a little bit easier to move the ball, so that's why he ended up with the 500 yards. So I think Dak he had some terrible throws in there. He had some good ones in the comeback. Again, the biggest, the overall body of work, though, is Dak's playing extremely well. And, Dallas is making life difficult on opposing defenses because of their playmakers, because, CeeDee Lamb's emerging and Dalton Schultz is emerging and Gallup's still there and Cooper's still there. So I still have faith in their offense, even though, it's ugly right now with, defensively and they're in a shootout every single week.
And if they lose this weekend, can you imagine? The Dallas media.
Yeah, with the Giants. I mean, this is the thing. I think I have to go back and check our numbers. I believe we have Dallas with the easiest schedule moving forward, and that's predicated upon playing Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles twice. So that certainly helps. So again, I think a lot of the ebbs and flows of the season are dependent on when you play certain teams, and the fact that they're 1-3 after playing what looks like 3 pretty good teams that they've lost to. I think they'll turn it around. I think the defense has to play better as they play Washington, Arizona, and the Giants and all these teams in the coming weeks. So I think they'll be all right. But yeah, this is a must-win because it's expected, and they should win against the Giants this weekend.
Steve Palazzolo, ProFootballFocus.com, NFL insider. He joins us on the Miller Lite guest line. The show is powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Check it out. Great place to enjoy game day. Bet $50 there. You can play Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $30. All right, Steve. So let's go to the when you look at what's going on with Tampa Bay and the Buccaneers, and they play tonight, and all these injuries around Brady, but yet they're steadily improving. What do you see from this Tampa Bay offense?
Yeah, they've been, like some other offenses, they've been pretty banged up. No Chris Godwin the last, he's only played 2 games, and Mike Evans banged up and everything. So I think what we're seeing is a really nice mesh, and this is what I think I was hoping to expect, right? A mesh of Bruce Arians' downfield aggression and then Tom Brady's short area accuracy and decision-making. And I think they're starting to figure that out. They had a rough first half against the Chargers the other day. And then they came back, and Brady was on fire in the second half, and he is throwing the ball down the field maybe as well as he ever has. He's got the most deep passing yards of any quarterback in the league. Him and Scotty Miller are connecting on deep passes at least once a week. They're losing O.J. Howard now, who has been a pretty big asset, working the seam routes and everything. So I think it's been a nice mesh of watching that offense come together. I still think they have room to grow. But I think I've been impressed with how Brady is, taken to the system. He's had a couple pick sixes. But he's really only had a handful of those disastrous, terrible passes this year. He's paid for them, but overall, Brady's been solid, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this offense evolves. I think they still need to add a little bit more in the short passing game, earn some more yards after the catch in the short game, but like the way they've looked essentially through 4 weeks.
And Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. I mean, he's done this before in his career, but what do you see?
It's lights out. Again, I always use the statement, if you took Aaron Rodgers' highlight reel over the last few years, it's Mahomes-esque. It's as good as anybody. And so he always had that. He's never lost the high-end plays. And he's always been good at taking care of the plays that should be intercepted. The problem the last couple of years has been short area accuracy, intermediate accuracy, throwing the ball over the middle of the field. All of that is great. Again, this is like vintage 2011 Rodgers, 2014 Rodgers, where he was playing maybe some of the best quarterback of all time as far as his ability to attack every level of the field, to win pre-snap, post-snap. Everything was great, right? In structure, out of structure. So to me, it's those in-structure plays where him and Matt LaFleur are just on the same page, using the personnel extremely well. And Rodgers' accuracy has not been at this level for years. I mean, it doesn't matter where he's throwing it. He's putting it right where his receiver can catch it, run after the catch. Just outstanding right now. So I think Rodgers has that, special level of confidence where everything he's doing is going right. We'll see if he can keep it up. But right now, this is as good as Rodgers has looked maybe his entire career.
All right, Saints fans. So he just weighed in on Tom Brady. And Tampa Bay's had a lot of injuries. I know the Saints have with Michael Thomas too. But it looks like this Buccaneers offense is getting better. And then Rodgers and Russell Wilson are just good grief what they're doing with the Packers and the Seahawks. Steve Palazzolo, ProFootballFocus.com, on the Miller Lite guest line. Blake, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question about quarterback play. So everybody's talking about Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, the way they're playing. The kind of silent predator, so to speak, at the QB position for at least non-super NFL fans and nerds like ourselves would be Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. Some people have said his start to this season is similar to Cam Newton's MVP season. I know he's in Buffalo, and I know he doesn't get the national love, but like when you see Josh Allen play, is there someone that you can kind of stylistically compare him to that a lot of our listeners might know and say, hey, this guy's playing like this year? Because what he's doing now is light years from what he was doing his rookie year and coming out of Wyoming.
Yeah, Allen is just fascinating. And trust me, there are plenty of Buffalo fans. They have been very angry with us because we haven't graded him well in his first 2 seasons. Now, the grade's catching up, so Bills fans aren't as angry, but they have been quite angry through the years with our Josh Allen takes. I'm impressed. I think some Cam Newton comparisons are warranted. The difference, Cam is just so unique just because he's used so much in the designed running game. Allen has won a lot more from the pocket this year. There's a reason he's not at the Rodgers or Wilson level because he still put the ball in harm's way. He's only got the 1 interception. He should probably have 3. He's got a couple fumbles in there. Those guys, the Rodgers and Wilsons of the world, just don't have those. But for Allen, he has improved his accuracy. He's improved. I mentioned like Rodgers' confidence. I mean, Allen is playing at such a confident level, so much trust in Stephon Diggs. Plus, the Bills are doing everything in their power to make life easier for Josh Allen. They are passing on early downs, which is, that's the best time to pass, for a quarterback, passing when you're expecting to run. They're using 4 wide receiver sets more than any team in the league. They've got 4 legitimate receivers who can get open. So I did anticipate a better statistical season for Josh Allen this year because of that supporting cast. I did not anticipate it being more based off of him and his accuracy and some of the improvement he's had. So yeah, he's been great. I think he still has that great scrambling ability. He's got this cannon for an arm that it's not about throwing the ball 70 yards. It's about his ability to just flip the ball out there and get it 40 plus yards and in a spot where his receivers can make plays. That big playability has been huge, and he's improved his deep ball greatly. So loving the progression we're seeing from Josh Allen. I'm still a little hesitant because we need to see more of it. He's only got this stretch of 4 good games in his 2+ years, but making a lot of progress up there in Buffalo.
All right, so Steve Palazzolo, ProFootballFocus.com, talking QBs on the Out of Bounds show and the Miller Lite guest line powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Steve, some people are upset.
Not some people. Everyone.
Okay, so clarify You were talking about Dak and Brady earlier, and Blake, walk me through. I can't look at everything while I'm
here's
interviewing
the issue,
him.
Steve. People are confused by the fact that the box score shows 500 yards and 4 touchdowns or whatever, 1 pick, and you said Dak only played like a 5 because of almost INTs, but you said Brady's playing well while he's thrown a couple pick sixes. I cannot explain to everyone, so I need you to how your grading system works. And when you're saying when you look at almost INTs, you grade a drop by the receiver that turns into an INT, doesn't help the quarterback, but a bad throw that doesn't get picked does. Can you kind of explain what you're talking about?
Yeah, so we grade every single player on every play. So, we grade the quarterback in isolation from the result. So, for instance, last week, Dak had 3 turnover-worthy plays, one of which was not the actual interception. So when the ball leaves his hand, and he had a couple of these, he completely misread a linebacker, completely misread a safety, put the ball right on their hands. We are grading that the same way as we would an actual interception. So, for instance, on the season, Tom Brady has 4 interceptions, but only 3 passes that we would consider turnover worthy, 3 that are actually his fault. So he has 3 interceptions that are completely his fault, and they did all get picked. He does not have any passes that should have been picked that didn't. And he has 1 that got picked off. That was a miscommunication with him and the receiver. So we put that more on, nobody in a miscommunication. Whereas Dak on the season, he had those 3 turnover-worthy plays last weekend. I think, let's see, where is he at right now? I can't even find where. Let me see how many turnover-worthy plays. So he has 8 actual turnover-worthy plays on the season, but only the 3 actual interceptions.
Where does that rank across the league?
Well, I don't have the percentages right in front of me. It's the second most, but he's thrown the ball far more than anybody else. It's probably middle of the pack as far as a percentage goes. So for Dak, again, that's why we don't look at interception totals. Some of them are on the quarterback, some of them are on the receiver. So yeah, he threw passes that should have been picked. Now the last interception that ended the game was more on Amari Cooper, stopping his route, and probably should have been a pass breakup. So we absolved him of that. So again, it's just adding proper context to every play. So my point on Brady is when he makes a bad mistake, the defense capitalizes on it. When Dak has made a bad mistake, the defense hasn't capitalized on it, but it doesn't change the level of play of the actual quarterback. We are trying to isolate that on every single play.
Okay. All right.
So really, like you said, it's not a box score reaction. It's, in theory, it is the most accurate representation of an individual player's ability to play. So if I'm a GM and I'm trying to draft someone or sign a quarterback, just because my quarterback had 20 touchdowns and 5 picks, he might have should have thrown 15 picks. And your grades would show that versus the guy who maybe has 20 touchdowns and 10 picks, but 5 of them went through receivers' hands and bounced off players or something like that.
Exactly. And I'm not one of the smart, dorky nerd, math people, but the people that do that stuff have actually looked at our grades and said, wow, that's way more consistent than actual box score stats and other traditional stats. Like Patrick Mahomes the other night had one of the worst games of his entire career, but because he had 2 of those little tap passes that counted as touchdowns, it was great. His numbers were good. Had a passer rating of 113. Mahomes should have had 2 picks, another fumble that just, didn't get called. And then those 2 easy touchdowns, you take away literally 4 to 5 plays, and his passer rating almost gets cut in half by things that were out of his control, right? Because Devin McCourty dropped an interception, someone else dropped an interception, and because his teammates took tap passes for touchdowns. So that's what we're trying to do, is isolate the actual quarterback on the play and his contribution to that production, not what his teammates or the defense are doing to aid his stats.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
It's what makes it so interesting to read the PFF grades.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Steve Palazzolo on the Miller Lite guest line, profootballfocus.com. Great site. Great football site. Let's wrap it up with Brees, Blake. All right. Drew Brees and the Saints get a much-needed win. What did you see from Drew?
Man, he was much better. Just the ability to get the ball to that, 10 to 19 range more efficiently, throwing a couple passes at 20 plus. I think everybody likes to look at 2015 Peyton Manning. That was the year where his arm fell off, right? And he just couldn't do it anymore. But there was still times where you're like, okay, Peyton's smarter than everybody and he gets rid of the ball quickly so he can kind of make it work. I think Brees has that in him where it's like late career Greg Maddux when Maddux was throwing 83 miles an hour. He just has to be a little bit more pinpoint with his control. He's got to have a little bit more movement on the ball. From a quarterback standpoint, Brees just has to be a little bit quicker, a little bit more anticipation, and the accuracy has to be perfect. And I think he showed the other day with some of those tight red zone passes for touchdowns, the deep crossing routes, throwing the ball early to Traquan Smith. He still has all that in him. So I think he's just working with a smaller margin of error because the arm just doesn't look like it's right there. The confidence isn't necessarily there throwing the ball down the field. But then you see that pass, that layered pass over the linebackers, under the safeties for a big game. Like, he still has those in him. And I thought that was really encouraging for the Saints because the first 3 games, I was not encouraged by Brees whatsoever. I thought his stats were inflated by Kamara and what he was doing after the catch. But I thought Sunday was by far Brees' best outing, and definitely encouraging for what he can do going forward.
Cool. All right. Breaking news again with Steve Palazzolo. Dak Prescott to the Saints after the season so that he can actually hook up with a good coach, actually a great coach. Blake?
Yeah, Mike. Steve. We talked about this before the before the call. Should I start Mike Evans tonight? Short week. He's kind of banged up.
They don't even know if he's going to play.
I know. I need Steve to tell. He knows. He knows everything.
You never want to make a Thursday decision. That's the problem.
Ugh, I know. It's the worst.
If he plays, he'll be used. That's the thing.
5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns in 4 games.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, if he's active, Brady's finding him in the red zone, and because there's still no Chris Godwin and no O.J. Howard, I think Evans gets his targets even if he's banged up. He played banged up Sunday and still made the plays. So
I'm starting him. Good call.
There you go. All right. Steve Palazzolo.
Don't hold me to it next week. We'll see what happens.
ProFootballFocus.com, NFL Insider on the Miller Lite guest line. Steve, enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk next week. Thanks, buddy.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
All right. See you, dude. Steve Palazzolo on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Man, that was great. The clarifying, good question, Blake. I don't like to give you credit, but the clarification of
how they grade.
Yes, how they grade anybody.
It's the most accurate grading system there is.
Dak, Brees, Brady.
If you're an offensive tackle and you give up a sack, they're going to take into consideration, well, did you get rolled up on by your teammate?
Right.
Like, was it the actual, did you get beat by the defensive player, or did you have something else happen?
Right.
Did the quarterback run into your guy? Right? And so, like, there's just so much nuance to the game of football that they have.
Did you fumble, or did the center hike it over your head?
Right, exactly. Was it the exchange on the quarterback, or was that on the running back? They analyze, we've talked about this, they have lackeys that watch play after play after play after play after play 15,000 times. It's incredible.
It is. Out of Bounds brought to you by Live Oaks Golf Club. Great place to play golf. Live Oaks Golf Club. Want to let you know again, Steve Robertson, Alpha Dogs book signing today at the Y'all Lifestyle Shop in the Township, 2:30 to 5:30. And Madison Ridgeland Academy football tonight instead of tomorrow night on 105.9 The Zone. And the Out of Bounds Fall Classic presented by Tito's Vodka November 12th is on at the Reed House at Live Oaks. For more information, go to Facebook, search the Out of Bounds Show, go to bowbounds.com, or go to Twitter at bowbounds. The show is driven by the Continental Tires at 49 Tire in Richland, Mississippi.